Take me to that happy hour I never had. Show me the girl I never met, I want it so bad. Where is that golden palace? Where is that whore called destiny? I think she ran on without me.
Welcome back. We have a great night tonight. I'm going to take you guys somewhere that nobody else is ever going to take you. Yeah, I'm going to take you into the heart of ancient Roman medicine. We're going to look in the drawer of Claudius, the emperor. We're going to pull out an actual scene. I'm going to show you what happens when you take the drug of communion and you enter the mystery. We're going to begin tonight with a guy named Scribonius Largus. We're going to find him. We're going to pull him from the grave. We're going to talk to him and see what he says. In his own words, we're going to see what he says about these cults that you and I have been looking at. We're going to look at the Saturnian toxicum. Yes, the Saturnian toxicum. What is the Saturnian toxicum? Let's pull that down. That too. I want to first explain to you that we're looking at, what I'm going to show you tonight is Latin, first of all. We're not going to look at Greek. We're going to look at Latin. Look at a little bit of Greek. But we're going to look at the Roman side through the physician who was connected to the legions and may or may have not been chief physician to Claudius. But he was certainly, from what he talks about, he was certainly involved with military medicine. Fantastic. Well, fortunately, he preserved for us a work called the Compositiones, which is prescription after prescription after prescription for different types of compound drugs. He doesn't talk, he's not big on theory. He's big on practice and what works in treatment, what we can do with all sorts of injuries. For today, we have the example of the arrow poison. And I want to just take you there to begin with. Let's go to Scribonius here. And I want you to take a look at this passage at the bottom. You notice the very first word. Notice the very first word is toxicum. Yes, so this is a very specific drug compound that he's about to tell us about, a very specific one. And that is not a native Latin word. When you see that C, you're going to know that you're taking a loan word from the Greek. And the Greek is toxikon. Can we bring up toxikos, please? The top? Good. And if you just take a quick look at this definition, you'll notice right away, of or for the bow. Wait a minute. I thought you were talking about drugs here. I am. Just wait. We'll get there. You talk about a kind of Cretan reed, right? The calamus. The toxic calamus is a kind of Cretan reed that was used for arrows. Arrows. We're talking bow culture with this word, right? And if you look down, Roman numeral number 2, a person skilled in the use of the bow. Here we have a bow culture, right? I bet they got horses too. But I want you to look at Roman numeral number 3. Notice that the bowmen, the toxotai, those bowmen are there. But then under number 2, we have toxicon pharmacon, a poison for smearing arrows with. Yes, and you see at the very bottom, it's the equivalent of the venenum. It's he's saying here it's a toxin, it's a drug. Fantastic. So let's go back to the text that we've got from Scribonius. I just want you to notice a couple of words, and then I'm going to show you a video. But I want you to notice toxicum. Yeah. And, when somebody gets a hold of this stuff, whether they're drinking it, he says, or whether it's inflicted from an injury, it's the same response that the person has. And what is this terrible, terrible reaction? Right away, there's this terrible pain in the guts, all of the guts, all over the guts. Terrible pain, like someone threw a javelin through you. Yeah, and it creates a furore mentis. It creates a crazed state of mind, a fury, not just any sort of craze, but a fury of mind. And what else does this thing do? It compels its users to exululare. Exululare. That's to make an ululation, but to do it in the Bacchic way, with head back. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Wonderful description. Look, they're making Bacchic shouts, screams. Can you do the Bacchic scream? You can do the Bacchic scream, right? Well, this drug will let you do the Bacchic scream. And what else? Et palpitare lingua similiter. Oh, it gets a little bit gross here. I got to put a rating on this. You guys better watch out because this gets pretty gross. It causes you to throw around your tongue, just like someone whose head has just been cut off. Now, they are watching heads get cut off in all sorts of ways. So apparently you had to be there to see the heads get cut off, but apparently you got some funny stuff that you do with your tongue. And when your head gets cut off, and these people who are in the Menadic revelry enter into this stage with the toxicon. It's the drug that is used. People are saying, now wait, okay, we're going to spank someone when we get back. But what I want you to do now, before we finish this gorgeous text, because it is full of goodies, I want you to see a little video that I've prepped for you. And this video will explain to you in images and in song. It'll explain to you in images and in song the direction that Scribonius is leading us with his toxicum. Yes, Chewy, hit it.
I can't see no future for me in this world, and looking back on the past, if it's gonna be more of the same, calling in to the game, 'cause I've had about enough of that. And they wonder why I turn to the wine. I turn to the wine every time I get lonely. I turn to the wine every time that I do. I turn to the wine, and the wine turns on me again, and the blues turn a darker blue, yeah, they do. The blues turn a darker blue, yeah, they do. The blues turn a darker blue.
It's all in the Venoms, man. I'm telling you, it's all in the Venoms. Your history was created by a group of women who were getting people to enter into death and life states to be reborn with a toxic venom. A toxic venom. This is the heart of the mystery. And let's see what else. Let's see what else we can do with that toxic venom that they're using on their arrow. I know that we can get there if we milk those snakes. Can we milk some snakes? So there we have it. What helps in these cases, Scribonius? Tell us, what can you do? So you've had your taste of it, you've had your drink of it, and he specifies this is for the ones who partake in the potation, right? This is them, right? It's the same effect it has hitting somebody with it on the arrow, but this is the paralyzing fear that one enters into when one is under the influence of the drug that allows you to ascend into death and to be resurrected. And what helps for it? Well, for those who drink it, we need to, get some rose, some potable rose. It's interesting. Some rose potion. Okay, get some rose potion. And is there anything else? Sure, there's a couple other plants. But I want you to mix it with lacte et antidoto mithridatio, with milk and with the, again, milk. It doesn't have to be milk like you think milk, but it says milk. So milk and the mithridatic antidote, which is funny, and it makes perfect sense contextually. I don't know why classes don't use any of this, but it makes perfect sense because the Emperor Nero is interested in the very same antidote. So it would make sense that, again, we're at a crime scene and we have to step back and we realize that we're reading to you. The witness tonight is a witness connected with the legions. This is the highest of the high. Yeah, this is the first and you're the last, right? This is the one. And he is bringing the recipes for the antidotes that are used in conjunction with the pagan mystery communion. Yeah, fantastic. Right above that, you'll see ephemeron. In the recipe above that, you'll see ephemeron. That is what we call colchicine, right? Yeah, we get colchicine from it, right? Colchis. It's literally the Greek, just colchis, right? So it's one of those ones, and be careful with that one. It tells you, you burn yourself with that one, right? You get quite burned up. I want to show you, I want to read to you a little bit of Valerius Flaccus. And I want you to see the working of the ancient magic. What is the person doing? Okay, so we know that they're entering the rite, and that they're milking vipers. They're milking poison, venomous snakes in order to add ingredients to these communions that they're using. Yeah, these potions, these compound, this compound drug that ultimately will end up with the medwa. Now, somebody was asking me, do we know if they smoked? And this is an old question, and one that I was just asking again. Do we know if they smoked? They performed fumigations. Did they walk around with Marlboros in antiquity? Is Claudius going to worry about his troops that he's responsible for pulling out Marlboros? No, he's not. He's got to be worried about them entering into fumigations that will get them involved in drinking things and administering things anally, and administering things via incisions on the skin. Yeah, and by performing things like this, fumigation, you fill the whole room. It's like hot boxing. You just fill the whole room with fumes, right? Remember, your religions are based upon taking incense and putting them upon a burning altar, right? This is where everything starts, right? Your Western religions are built upon that. I can't speak for these, but for the Western religions, they're built upon that. This burning of the incense in the temples. Come on. Jehovah never lied about that one. He lied about a lot, but he didn't lie about that one, right? Pull down those temples where they're burning incense to those gods. right? Where they're entering those states. So breathing this incense, breathing this fumigated substance, is that like smoking? Yeah, if you're getting fumigated, you might as well be, you're a step up from secondary, that's for sure. But, you probably classified as secondary smoking. Okay, that's neat. I want to read you a little passage from Valerius Flaccus now to bring us all to a place where we're at the same spot. There's this guy, Coastes, who comes from the west to the east to see Medea in performing what she became so well known for that we can't even translate properly. So tonight we looked at somebody entering a Bacchic phase with these drugs. We saw them entering this hilarity, head back, saying the things that Scribonius says are hard to be interpreted, right? What they say. So now I want to go to this late Bronze Age worker of sorcery, Coastes, that we see in Valerius Flaccus' Argonautica, his story about the Medea. He says, mightiest among them in Stygian arts, Coastes comes. He's the mightiest. What is the Stygian? In the what? The Stygian arts. Yeah. Those are the underworld arts. Yeah, those are the arts that make us all afraid at night when we have our nightmares. Those are the arts that are doing it. These are the necromancers. Anyway, not love of war excites him, but the fame of the Satian maid Medea, breathing poisons in match to his own. That's the translation. Who is this? It's not Henry. Who is this? Let me give you the Mosley. This is the Mosley translation. But in the line that he translates, poisons equal to yours, there's a difficulty. There's a difficulty with the Greek, with the Latin, just a terrible, terrible difficulty. And I will read it to you in Latin and translate it literally. Solicitat nec martis amor, the love of war, the love of Mars does not move him. The love of Mars. Don't you love that? Now you know why the fleece, which the dragon guards, is hanging in the grove of Mars. It's important that you understand that. Image-wise, it's important that you understand. Put yourself in that place. We're in the grove of Mars. Yes, so not the love of Mars, sed fama Catiae virginis, but the Satian virgin, Medea. Yeah. Doing what? Spirans. What draws him? Her spirans. Breathing, inhaling, paribus venenis. Balanced drugs, poisons, inhaling them. Yeah. Now we call this, and we see this on the medical side, this breathing of the drug. And remember, these drugs that they're using are not all things that they aerosolize, right? These are not all fumigations that they're performing. There's a lot of incense involved, and there's a lot of exposure to that incense. But a lot of these that are administered rectally, orally, ocular-wise, in slits in the skin. A lot of these drugs are not kinds that you would use in fumigations. So what exactly its meaning is mystery. What is it meaning when it says he was so impressed, this necromancer, right? Now that he's gone, the text says, now that he left his homeland to come see this, to come see the Medea perform this act, the people can sleep safely and soundly, because he's no longer drawing down the moon. Yeah, he's no longer drawing down the moon. So he is with her now in order to see her breathe in these these balanced poisons. Yeah. So, and that word for breathing is associated in antiquity with the Romans with the inspiration, the breath of inspiration, right? She is a virago. We just read about a virago last time, correct? We saw that Eve, the one who cries Ewa, she is the virago. All right, we saw that's how they described her, as the virago. We are squarely with Roman Minerva, squarely with her. And it is she that gets us to that place by worship of the muses. By worship of the muses, she gets us to that place. And her breathing is through equally balanced drugs, equally balanced poisons. She's oftentimes said, Seneca claims that she has a compound created from different venoms, snake venoms. And in her very authentic incantation, she invokes Ophiuchus. So we are seeing now, you see in the tradition of the epics, in the poetic traditions, you see Medea's medicine emerging, but you can see the very same medicine in the text of the imperial doctors, of the highest ranking imperial doctors, and in the doctors who serve people like Nero. So we are one step closer to completing the scene, completing that crime scene. Our concern, and people have been talking about this, our concern is to bring back Lady Babylon. That's the mission, right? To understand that reality, to see and to know, to have eyes to see and ears to hear, to not follow a fairy tale, but to worship reason and honor reason. So we want to bring back that image. We're stuck here at this scene with Jesus Christ arrested in a public park / cemetery at early morning hours with a naked boy. And what is he doing there under those circumstances? We're beginning to be able to see at least a history of where these drug rights come from, and to see that they're entrenched within very high levels of ancient society. There's a reason that the Bacchic suppression of 186 or 185, whenever it is, that BC, that was a reaction to this cult operating within the highest levels of the aristocracy. We're told that it was the women that were getting rounded up, and it said they were arresting the wives of senators who were involved. And how did they know that they were involved in the conspiracy? Because of the drugs. Yeah, because of the drugs. That's how they identified them. Isn't it interesting to know that if it was a conspiracy, as the Romans viewed it a conspiracy, not just the free expression of a religion, but we're talking when religion and political power are the same thing. Yes, you see the Bacchants today. When the Romans say, yes, it was a conspiracy because they were trying to take power, we need to consider then that this is no longer fairy tale world. This is a very human place that we've come to. And we need to consider these sources. If I were to tell you some of the secrets that are in these things, you might start getting paranoid about uncovering even further what is behind the facade. Were women staying at home? All of these drug traditions come from female practice. The oldest ones that we have come from the gynecology and obstetrics. So somebody out there right now, I was told today, is talking about the use of arrow poisons. Yeah, that's great. Congratulations. It used to be that people would openly deny. Scholars would openly deny. No, they didn't use drugs. There's no drugs involved. We don't. Right. I just read you an entire drug passage about antidotes to a drug that gets you so high you babble and blurt and wiggle your tongue like you just been decapitated, right? And we just discussed the antidotes used to bring those people back from that edge. So were they using drugs? Wake up and smell the opium, right? But that's old. It used to be you had to fight against that. People would say, no, they didn't use drugs, because they don't want to look at their history in the context of people using drugs. Can we really say Augustus, who brought the Pax Romana, that he was an opium swiller? Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. Yes, Scribonius says so. Yes, but we don't want to say those kind of things. Now we're at the step where we know this is the Renaissance. This is the Renaissance of the psychedelics. This is the toxic step forward that's always necessary in order to initiate the spark, in order to start the spark, the apocalypse that brings that return. It's a cyclical mystery, right? It's death and rebirth. So I wanted you tonight to see that there is a tradition that has left behind evidence, good, strong linguistic evidence, firsthand testimony. You can't, you get Scribonius up in trial, up in the stand. There's nothing better, right out of their mouths. You can't deny it. It's right out of their mouths. So if we are at that point that we are determining what that crime scene involves with Jesus, now we know that the drug side of things goes way back and is heavily influential in a contemporary in the contemporary time, in his century, when he is. Scribonius is the early 1st century, right? He's exact contemporary with Jesus. He probably died within a few years, not a few years, but shortly there after Jesus died, to complete contemporary, right? So, and we have in that contemporary, we have the use of these drugs for the sake of entering into a state of mystery communion, the process of being born again. Now, tonight, I thank you. Tonight, I want to finish with two people, with Rob and Snappy. And before we go to Rob and Snappy, I want Snappy to step up and give us a 2-minute presentation on some of the things that are going on behind the scenes with the Discord, and what good news we've got from that. Snappy, go for it.
All right, thank you, Moan. So first off, the Discord has reached over 100 members, so thank you everyone for joining. And over a dozen of you have decided to either shave your heads or walk the path of Aphrodite. And as Amon was saying, big things are happening. Right now, we are working at establishing our very own Temple to the Muses. First, we're looking about doing this online. We have Dr. Buzzard, who's working at making a wiki, and he's right now working on the JavaScript for that. And there's also been discussion about recreating and developing our own Order of the Rose. And the idea behind this would be to organize ourselves and to create a sort of fraternity, but without those gender distinctions. You know, we want to come together and form a stronger community and create some organization so that we can focus on this. Like I was speaking to Amon, and we want to have people who are dedicated to the magic, people who are dedicated to archiving this, people who are dedicated to sourcing the mystery directly, people who are looking for Medea in other cultures, and so on. There's so much that we can focus on, and we'd love it if you guys all came to the Discord and we could all pile together and work this out and start to organize ourselves a little more formally.
Yeah, and excellent. And I can't tell you how much it means to me that the pool of you who are interacting now on this Discord are so aggressively reason oriented. Just good pagan Satanist. Just the salt of the earth. This is how it should be, and I'm truly impressed and humbled. So Rob now has an idea for ideas for how the direction of the museum can go, and what it's my job to do is to step back and let the people who are just, we have such a resource of people here that can really help design things and can open up this virtual space, because that most of us have broken out of cults, and most of us are coming in that direction as reasonable Satanists, and most of us are necromancers at heart and want to raise the dead and want to achieve something. So people have been asking me, what is our goal and what is our mission? And I will just add this: if it is anything short of bringing back Lady Babylon, then why would we do it? Why would we do it at all? Rob, what's your vision of a museum? Tell me what you're working on.
Well, I've been working on it for a while now, but in philosophical terms, because I haven't set anything up that is concrete, and if I'm honest, I need some help in setting it up. But what I had very early days, I had the idea of forming another Discord, which is more centered towards these episodes, which features the very sources what are in the episodes for people who want to go a little bit deeper and focus on the source material that are featured in the episodes, just like a specific kind of nature. But I'm also aware of the fact that might offend the current Discord. So it's been like a slow progress, because the Discord as it is fantastic, and it's not something that you could say needs work. It doesn't need any work at all. It's not that kind of expression what I'm trying to attain. What I'm trying to attain is some sort of special area for people who really want to engage with the material what are in the episodes, rather than, because there's a wide variety of opinions, of varied ideas, and brilliant. I haven't got it isn't like you'd want to close that down, because you should look everywhere for all your information. Your information should come from random sources, all sorts of sources. everywhere, what can spark different ideas. And that's the nature of the Discord, because you're going to get all these ideas out there, and that's fantastic. And that goes on. That's what's going on. But there's also like a more specific side that I personally want to address. I'd like, and for example, I'm going to use tonight, for example, you know, we talk about the toxins what are on the ends of these arrows and these arrow poisons, and you'll shoot them into somebody and it has this dramatic effect upon them. And I want to know is how you get from that point to rubbing it on something that's shaped like a dildo for an application in a ritual. That's where I want to go. I want to go into that. I don't really want to go. Obviously, it's a part of it that you want to go broader and you want to see the comparatives, differences, and also the areas out there where are comparative, and you can draw them in and you say, well, this culture was doing the same type of thing, but that has got its own forum. There isn't a forum for that specific, well, you know, what's in that toxin that kills you, but can also be applied to the body in another way. And that's where I'd like to focus on, to be clear.
Yeah, and okay, yeah. So you can see, okay, this is perfect. You can see how Rob focuses in on kind of a refinement of an academic type branch of this grand virtual.
You see, I'm sorry to interrupt. You see that's like people think in oppositions. So it's like it's not an opposition to. It's a complementary side approach to an already successful Discord. It's not meant as any sort of
no,
you're not getting what you want out of that Discord, because you are, you literally are. But
yeah, and we're all coming at this from the same start. We're all coming at it from the same start. So it's just like you said, you need some help in how to design this, right? That's the brilliance of what's going on, is that we're connecting now. All these minds and expertise now are connecting. We're on the same frequency, right? The Christians and the Jews and the Muslims, the Hindus, they're going to see what we have here, and they're going to start, if they haven't already, they're going to flood to this, because this is the movement. People are not going to be going to buildings, right? We have to think of the future. And the future is for us constructing this virtual temple, right? We start with this temple of the muse, and we will build a city. I know that people are interested in different areas. People want the magic, right? They want to. We have to start a magic class immediately. There has to be a specialty. We have to get people to understand the rudiments of necromancy. And again, not by preaching, not by teaching, by giving people the sources, and saying, look, don't trust me, trust what this witch from the 4th century said, because that's what we're hearkening back to. Yeah. Tell me.
I think Rob raises an interesting concern, though, and this is something that I think we need to address, is that we need to focus in on certain things, and we need to have, like you were bringing up, Amon, we need to have sort of designated organizations where people are focused on specific things. Like, if we can be more organized in our approach, we can have a better way of understanding these things. So people who are more dedicated to tracing the mystery and what the drugs are, and people who are more interested in the magic. But we all, like you said, and we all need to be doing the necromancy. But that's the idea where we're at right now, is that the Discord is wonderful for invoking this freedom and invoking ourselves to just follow the muse, but it does lack cohesion. And what your episodes bring is that cohesion. And I think that's what we need to try and do going forward, as we try to make this a little more formal and create our Order of the Rose, is have a more dedicated focus and have people streamlined, and dedicated to specific pursuits.
Yeah, let me ask you both this question while we're here. and maybe we can bounce this off the audience somehow. We have a real duty to put together this scene and to figure out what Jesus is doing with this naked boy and what are the details of it. We have a duty to delve into that. We have a duty to bring that. If we're bringers of reality, right? If we're trying to tell people, look, what you've been sold is a fairy tale, and let me show you what's actually there in order to open up to take off their blinders and to free them. If we are really going to perpetuate the Bacchic freedom, then we're going to have to have a mission that's oriented to those people who are currently enslaved. We have to be ministers to the enslaved, do we not?
Oh, definitely. Right. But the question is, how do we approach this too? Because there's also was a lot of concern on the Discord, like both Rat King and Dion brought this up. It's like they're in California, they could start a church tomorrow if we wanted to. But you're gonna get a lot of people who are looking for wish fulfillment, who aren't necessarily seeking the same things that we're seeking. So we have to be not exclusive, but we have to be careful in our approach, right? We're not a church, right? We're trying to invoke the mystery. We're trying to bring that back. We're trying to bring Lady Babylon back. We're something new. We're something different, you know?
Yeah, let me elaborate just by saying that's why I use the detective metaphor. Because that's all we can do. Look, who are we, people? Are we part of some special organization? No. Are we funded by billionaires? No. Are we some kind of special Illuminati? No. We're just average people who want to know what the reality is. We want to put aside the bullshit with the academics. We want to step aside from the hoo-ha and from the sale, the wholesale, shopping out of the prostitution of history. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. We want to put those things aside, and we want to just get down to that basic level of the evidence. That's what we are. I would never ever want to start a church. I would never want to start a church. No. Or any sort of organization that was anything beyond a salon of people who were influencing the world around them by their worship of the muse. It's all that matters. Let them have the world. Let them have the world. Rob, what do you think our mission is?
We're getting further into this. We're getting further into the mystery. The more episodes we're putting out, and the more people are becoming accustomed to what you're presenting. And that's only ever been my mission, to get your work out there so people can review it and just have a look at it for themselves. It's had a profound effect upon me, but that doesn't mean I'm not I just want to get it out there for everybody to see. But also, what you can't forget is how bloody huge this subject becomes. It isn't. I mean, it's very commendable to want to. What I want to do is focus in on the episodes, and that is monumental in itself. If you go, people will know, and they will be doing this and going back through the episodes, and then they will be taking notes and they will be looking things up, just as I've done. And you just can't. You've got to. I'm sure then people will appreciate it, how huge this unfolds. It unfolds and unfolds and unfolds. And when you try and fold it back up into a nice, neat little package of explainability, it's almost ineffable. And that's a problem. What we face is understanding. To go into the minutiae of things is a good thing, but also coming out and having this overview If you come out and you look at the overview and you look at the subjects you cover with the mysteries, it's enormous. I'm sure I'm messing up expressing that, but it's what I've found is you think you're moving forward and you think you're learning a lot, and then you realize how little you do know about this subject, and it's overwhelming. That feeling is, because you get to a certain stage where you think, I'm getting comfortable. I'm comfortable with this information now, and I understand this information. And then the next piece you go into, it can blow your mind and open up another, call them rabbit holes, for you to explore. And that's what I've found fascinating with your work, Armin, is you need to just start that spark, get them people to see that initial spark and get what you're trying to put across, because then you're on a roll and you just go with it. And I've been at this for 2 years. And I don't miss a day. A day doesn't go by that it doesn't cross my mind. And I'm sure there are people out there who are experiencing the same thing. And I just think there should be a place where this can be discussed, especially the episodes and the broader aspects of the mysteries, because you go on the Discord, the current Discord it's enormous. There's subjects, it's fantastic. And that's the wide, broad scope of what you can learn. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It never stops. And you only realize how little you know. What's your opinion of that, Armin? Would you say that's accurate?
Well, I think
you're even deeper than everybody else, aren't you?
I think we're getting closer. If you're walking into that temple and it says, "Hey, know who you are," right? Then yeah, we're the more you're saying, "Oh, I don't know," and the more you're getting deeper into it, the more Bacchic, you're becoming. And if you forget, you can write it on your arm, and you can say, "Bacchus says, you don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what kind of life you're living." If we can get ourselves to the point that we're free, it's not dependent upon a person or any sort of institution or any sort of dogma. It's a real freedom. It's a freedom you can't take away from somebody. You know, you can't. I don't care what you can tell me now. As soon as I've seen Jesus in the garden with the goop on his face and oh God, take this cup away, right? And again, there's stuff going on. There's cops, freeze, and there's a naked kid, right? And there's swords swinging stuff. Once you've been to that scene and the crowd is like, kill him. And by the way, those of you who are writing and saying you're blaspheming, you're right. You're right. I am. In order to achieve that breakthrough, we have to see Jesus Christ for who he was. He was a man arrested in a public park with a naked boy. When you go to drink of his blood and eat of his flesh, you are promoting a rapist pedophile. Your institutions are the institutions of rapist pedophiles. Your conspiracy Q groups are institutions that have promoted the greatest rapist pedophile of all time. You are guilty. You have that all over your skin. You have it all over your nation. You have created an association of liars who promote a man who was arrested in a public park with a naked boy. It's time for reality. Guys, thanks for joining me tonight. And I'm sure that the brains behind what's going on, there's so much brain snappy in this Discord that I'm sure it's going to congeal. I mean, I don't want to step in the way. So to everybody that's involved, let's keep involved. And hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Good talking to you.
Show me the girl I never met. I want it so bad. Where is that golden palace? Where horse called destiny. I think she ran